What is up, everybody? Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Wartime MMA. I'm Tony. Got my boy Alex. Got my dog Mike. We're here to break down UFC 326 BMF title fight. Two fan favorites, two absolute legends of the sport, and Charles Do Bronx Oliveira goes up against Max Bless Holloway. We got 11 fighters representing USA on this card. We have 12 Dana White Contender Series alumni on this card. Got three former champions, a lot of old guys. We got 12 fighters, like 33 years or older. Um, yeah, just a good card. Three debutantes, just a lot of new, a lot of old as well. It's like a mix of stars that we've like grew up on and that we've seen their career kind of culminate to the peak. And we got guys trying to make their first start, stay undefeated. I think it's a good card. Is there anything else you guys like to add about 326?
Uh, Not really much to add. I just think the main event's for sure phenomenal. The card overall is meh. It's meh, but overall it's a very good card. Uh, Definitely don't really feel pay-per-view esque. It kind of feels like more of a fight night in my opinion, but the main event's for sure going to carry. I like the co-main event too. That one's going to be phenomenal. There's some sleepers for sure on the card minus the main and co-main, but we'll see how it goes. I'm pretty pumped. Either way, it's a fight, and it's fight day, so I'm pumped.
Facts.
Yeah, as Tony said, our latest so far. We actually doing this on fight day, so this is as close and as accurate as a prediction in theory as we should be able to have. So hopefully, we can knock it out of the park. A lot of unks fighting unks. But in the fights where you have younger prospects versus unks, I always find that really interesting because I feel like naturally you want to just go for the younger fighter. So it's going to be interesting to see how, like by the end of the card, and which one we wind up picking, which unks to beat which prospects beat which unks. So it's like experience versus youth. So I'm interested to see that. Also, a lot of decent fights in the main card and upper part of the prelims. Although I do think the lower prelims are going to be dead. But hopefully, I'm wrong and there's finishes.
hmm So since we gave our breakdowns, y'all want me to kick it off here on this?
Sounds good.
Yeah, good.
All right, starting off on the early prelims, we got a light heavyweight bout. Luke Fernandez taking on Rodolfo Bellato. I'm going with Luke Fernandez. Adolfo Bellado's dog shit. He had to do a Denzel Washington Oscar winning performance on fucking Paul Craig's career. And honestly, Paul Craig was winning that fight too. He was getting boxed up by Paul Craig, which is horrible. That goes to show kind of spoils my pick here. I'm picking Luke Fernandez by KO here. I think he's gonna win in the either first or second round by knockout. I think Bellato's just dog shit and getting pieced up by Paul Craig and having to fucking fake that you got concussed is a horrible look. So I don't really need to break down much here. I think I said my piece here. I got Luke Fernandez by first or second round KO.
I gotta agree with Mike here. Looking at Luke Fernandez, he doesn't look like the biggest guy right off rip, but he's relatively athletic. And I feel like when you get into these higher weight classes, heavyweight, light heavyweight, I'll honestly take a little bit less size if I can just be guaranteed that you're gonna be fast, athletic, and like not retarded. Like how many fat fucking pieces of shit have we seen in these divisions? Like even Adolfo Bellato. I mean, compared to the blobs of heavyweight, he's in shape, but like, look at him. He doesn't look like a UFC fighter. Like, imagine you at 5 years old, like, "Oh, I wonder what a UFC fighter looks like." You imagine in your head, "Oh, big muscles, Brock Lesnar, Ubereem." Yeah, you're not getting any of that here. Luke Fernandez isn't like that either, but he's a little bit smaller. He's trim. He's not huge, like I said, but he's not really small either. He's fast. He's got power. I think that's a good recipe against a sloppier Bellato to get a first round KO. Luke Fernandez, especially he's a younger fighter. Maybe Bellato can wind up winning the fight. I've actually seen a lot of people pick Bellato by later rounds and just kind of working him into it. Luke Fernandez is a first round finish guy. I want to say almost all of his finishes are first round, if not all of them. Contender Series one was 15 seconds. Uh, guy like that, yeah, you kind of got to pick him into the first round, and I'm going to be picking him in the first round. I think he's explosive. He's like locked in right away, whereas Bellato never puts his hands by his chin and is relatively lackadaisical throughout the fight. The only advantage Bellato I see having is the experience and potentially the cardio and grappling advantage. But I think it'll be mostly on the feet. Bellato's a mental retard. I'm gonna say first round KO. Hook in the pocket, Luke Fernandez.
UFC 326 opener, UFC debut for Luke Fernandez in the light heavyweight division, going up against Adolfo Bellato. The more experienced fighter, I guess you would have to say by default, is Adolfo Bellato, having fought more fights. 15 pro fights to Luke Fernandez's 6. Fernandez got signed off his spectacular knockout win on the Contender Series. I think Alex and Mike pretty much said what needs to be said about Bellato in terms of his deficiencies. 12-3 record, but truthfully, I don't think he's as like his record doesn't show you as bad as he really is, so to speak. Like Mike said, I mean, Paul Craig was winning on the feet. He really didn't need to throw that up kick. That was unnecessary. I felt like he won the first round. Um, Two of his 3 career losses are Vitor Petrino, a guy who I am a fan of and I do think is good. But I think Bellato's kind of known for his toughness, so to speak, and he's able to kind of get into these wars. I just don't like relying on that in the heavier weight classes to try to weather the storm. I think Fernandez early on is going to be locked in, just like Alex said. I'm going to make it a clean sweep. I'm going to go Luke Fernandez. I'll go first round knockout as well. I just think Bellato's too hittable. His grappling, I don't think it's enough to warrant like being fearful of in terms of him taking down Fernandez and trying to extend the fight there. I feel like he's going to do what he always does. It's a BMF fight. I feel like a lot of guys are going to try to get that bonus, show out and make fans. So I expect Bellato to be willing to oblige in the pocket. I expect him to be willing to throw and try to get a knockout himself. So I'm gonna go Luke Fernandez first round knockout. Counter shot in the pocket where they're just throwing, but Luke Fernandez just looks sharper, smarter, and better, and he's able to move his head in the right areas to evade Bellato shots, and he's able to counter on him and be able to jump for the finish. So I'm gonna go first round TKO, Luke Fernandez, and still undefeated.
Alrighty, moving on. We got
I just checked. He actually has gone to a decision, so that makes me more confident going forward. And it says 4 rounds. I don't know what type of fucking fight is 4 rounds, but it said he went 4 rounds in a decision. And he's out grappled and submitted UFC fighters in grappling matches. So knowing that, I feel like is good as well, even if they are bums. Like he's clearly shown a better grappling level than Eric Anders and Phil Haas. So that's something. But yeah, go ahead, Mike. My bad.
Alrighty. Next fight is another light heavyweight fight. We got Rafael Tobias taking on Dayar Nergizay. I'm gonna go with Rafael Tobias here. I think he's gonna cook. He's gonna cook Nergizay. I think Nergizay is just trash. He's another debutante of the Kazakhstan country region. Not really else to say. I'm gonna go with Rafael Tobias by submission here. No, not too much to break down here. I'm gonna just keep it short and simple.
Yeah, I think Yarner Gage just kind of sucks at this point. I'm gonna pick most people to beat him. I'm gonna pick Rafael Tobias. He looked good on the Contender Series. He's got grappling, got striking. Young guy, 22. This is definitely not the final form of him, and having a record like 14-1 is very impressive. Dr. Nergage, looking at both of their physiques, Rafael Tobias looks like your typical in shape, big, tall, long Brazilian. Dr. Nergage, I just look at his physique and I think former roid user, doesn't currently use, former roid user. Just kind of saggy, like where you're like, he looks like he should be built. Like the brick frame, like he's a wide guy, like he should be built. But he's flabby and he's fat. So that's why I'm thinking like at some point he must have juiced and he got off. Maybe he was one of the guys that did. I know a lot of Contender Series guys from this region have popped before. But I'm going to go Rafael Tobias. He's been clearly grappling is his problem. Dr. Nergage, whereas Rafael Tobias gets a submission win on the Contender Series. Dr. Nergage isn't getting submitted by anybody good. Maybe Iran Sati Baldiev is going to be something, but I don't know. He lost to fucking Martin Boudet, and getting submitted by Brenson Ribeiro is terrible. I don't care. Getting dominated by Brenson Ribeiro is a terrible look, and I will not pick you to win after it. Rafael Tobias, I'm going to say first round rear naked choke. Just younger, more explosive, more athletic, better grappler.
Back-to-back debutantes in the light heavyweight division. 14-1, Rafael Tobias, 22 years old, making his UFC debut against Dr. Nergizay, 10-2, 0-2 in the UFC. Both losses by submission. So I do feel as though that Perhaps you can call it recency bias that there is the narrative going forward that DR Nurgaze simply cannot grapple. And I mean, I don't hate that narrative. I mean, dude got Ezekiel choked and he got Kimura. But aside, I want to talk more about the Brenson Hibero loss more than the Salyatov loss. I don't think Salyatav's that bad. I think he could actually pan out to be decent. But the Brenson Hibero one, let's talk about that. The Nurgaze was upwards of like a minus 450 favorite in that fight. He got dropped on the feet where he's supposed to be pretty like that's like his most proficient area in MMA. I would say like his boxing and his striking. Got dropped by Hibero, and it's crazy because I was like looking it up this morning. I was in a call with Mike and I was looking up stats and I was like wondering, well, how bad is his takedown defense if the grappling narrative is so bad about Nurgaze? It turns out this dude is 100% takedown defense in the UFC, Dr. Nurgaze. He's actually out taking down his opponents, yet he's managed to get both of his losses by submission. So even when this dude gets the takedown, he's still finding himself in situations where he's getting subbed. I don't like that. I think he is a bit more one dimensional. He could get the takedown, but his ground and pound ain't crazy, and his scrambles don't look anything crazy either. He's just he's just a Kazakhstan fighter, and his record's like above average, and I feel like that's why he's in the UFC. Tobias, I'm not saying he's a world beater or anything, but just off comparing the two, he appears to be more athletic. I do buy into the grappling narrative that Nurgaze has problems there, despite having good takedown defense. I'm gonna go Rafael Tobias here. I just feel like if this was a striking bout, Dr. Nurgaze has a way more successful opportunity. Maybe the bright lights are too big for the 22-year-old, but I think the blueprints out there on Nurgaze. If this guy has any competent coaching staff or team, I expect them to very much focus into the grappling. I'm gonna go Tobias by. I don't hate a first round. Honestly, I don't hate a ground and pound TKO either. I think everybody's picking the submission, and I feel like the TKO could also present itself. I want to go sub, but I'm gonna be a little different. I'm gonna be a little bolder. I'm gonna go first round ground and pound TKO. Rafael Tobias. I think he will be a bit overzealous in his UFC debut. I think that he will come like 100 miles an hour. He's not really gonna pace himself properly, which is a little bit worrisome if this fight is extended and goes later past round one. But I think round one he's gonna be the uber athlete. I think he's gonna get takedowns at will. I think he will get into potential submission opportunities. But Nurgaze, having been subbed in back-to-back losses, I expect him to have at least improved that area of his game a little better, his submission defense, and maybe not giving up his neck and stuff. And I think Tobias is just going to end up just keep on hitting him and pounding him out and giving up on the submission to the point where the ref is going to step in. I'm going to go first round ground and pound TKO, Rafael Tobias, and a successful UFC debut.
All right, we ready to move on. So their next fight is in the flyweight division. Sumar Dwerji taking on Jesus Aguilar. I'm gonna go Sumar Dwerji here. I think he's just too big, and his frame is too much. I think for Aguilar. I wanted to try to find a way to pick an Aguilar pick here, but Aguilar's too small for him, I think, and I think Sumar Dwerji should have enough to like have the height and frame advantage over Aguilar to counter the grappling of Aguilar's and make it a striking fight, jab his face up if he needs to. Sumar Dwerji also had a pretty close he had a pretty close fight against Charles Johnson as well. I'm not gonna sit here and say Charles Johnson's a great fighter, but he's not bad either. And I think to have a close fight with him is not bad. Not I think I've rambled far too long about this fight. I got Sumar Dwerji. I think he's just too big for Aguilar. I'm gonna go with a decision here.
This was a tough fight for me to predict. I actually had Aguilar picked originally, but I'm going to have to concur with Mike and pick Sumu Darji. Jesus Aguilar honestly doesn't have a bad loss in the UFC. His two losses, Tatsuro Taira and Rafael Estevam, are both quality. At the same time, he doesn't have a quality win really either. Louis Garill, mid. Stuart Nickel, mid. Shannon Ross, mid. I'm missing enough. Mid. Mateusz Mendonça winded up being mid, even though that was a really close fight. The Garill fight was pretty close too, and it looked like the Stuart Nickel fight was going to be close before he just got immediately reversed into a guillotine, which happens. That's kind of where I see Aguilar's like trap card. It's his guillotine. He's got a really good guillotine. Uh, doesn't really have great takedowns from what I've seen. He's not a wrestler. He's more of a BJJ guy, smaller guy. I honestly think he might be the smallest guy in the flyweight division. I think he's even smaller than Van, and he doesn't fight like Van. Sumudarji's had some tough fights in his career as well. Getting dog walked by Matt Schnell and getting fucked up like that is not a good look. Getting, submitted by Tim Elliott is not a good look. And people looked like you died because you were foaming at the mouth. Like that shit was bad. But Sumudarji honestly is a really good striker. There's a good argument for him to win the fight against Charles Johnson, despite him getting scored against him. And I do think he's slightly improved his takedown defense. I think it's similar to Gaethje. It's not necessarily the takedown defense that's the problem. It's about what happens once you already get the takedown. You get on top. I think his jujitsu shit. If he gets there, I think Aguilar can suppose a serious problem. But if he it's weird that I have to think of this fight, but you remember the Mackenzie Dern Yan Nan fight where Yan Nan was just not doing anything and just letting like Mackenzie Dern sit there the whole round and like afraid to move a muscle, and she survived every round doing that. I think if Sumudarchi does that and doesn't try to get up, he'll win by decision, the split. China versus Mexico, I feel like the UFC doesn't have a favorite market here. They want to build both of them up. Neither one of these guys are going to be champions or anything like that. They're just going to be names they continue to throw in card. I'm going to pick Sumudarji, taller, longer guy. I don't think the trap card of Aguilar's guillotine is going to work very well against a taller guy like Sue. I don't see Sue, leaning his head down, shooting for a takedown or anything like that. I don't think the opportunity for a guillotine will be there. I think Aguilar is actually going to have a hard time moving in on the feet. And as somebody who I don't see having a better takedown game than Mitch Raposo, despite me thinking he's better of a fighter, I do think Mitch Raposo has better takedowns, specifically takedowns, than Aguilar. And despite that being a close fight, Sue was able to defend those takedowns. I think when Sumudarshi gets taken down, that's the round. He's got to just sit there and do nothing, wait it out. But I think damage wise, he's going to be able to score at least 2 rounds out of the 3. I'm going to pick Sumudarshi by split decision.
Very similar to Mike and Alex. I was very close to making a Jesus Aguilar pick myself. I picked him as an underdog in his last fight against Luis Garul. Now he faces Sumaderji. This one is kind of like a bit of a show me fight. I think I agree perfectly with Alex's sentiment as like these are two markets the UFC wants to integrate and wants to get very much involved in China and Mexico. And that is going to play a big part in my pick in this fight. I think they're both like 30. I think Aguilar might be 29 and Sumaderji's like 30. Difference of 10 pro fights though. Maderji's got like 25 plus pro fights. Aguilar's got 15. He's seen more. He's been in the UFC, I want to say, relatively longer. Um, Aguilar's got a good guillotine. He's a scrapper. He's always down to fight, and he fights for your money and he fights for your pick. I do value that. I do respect that. But this is a fight in terms of the advantage physically that Maderji has on the feet. I mean, if you lose this, like this is like a real like stock selling. Not I don't want to say a stock selling fight, but like I think the winner of this fight will gain stock. But I feel like Maderji having a 4-inch height advantage and a 10-inch reach advantage, and if he's to lose on the feet, like that's bad, bro. Like you got to capitalize on this advantage you have. The Mitch Raposo fight was close, even though I don't think it was close. It was scored like a split, like pretty close. I do agree with Alex's sentiment that Raposo is probably a better wrestler, pure like takedowns than Aguilar. But Aguilar, I think, is a better like scrapper overall, better fighter. It's a close fight. I don't mind the split decision pick. I am also gonna make it a clean sweep. I'm gonna go Sumaderji. Um, I just think there's more reservoir of talent with Mexican fighters, especially like in the lower weight classes, like a flyweight and like a bantamweight and weight classes like that. We don't have too many Chinese fighters. We gotta have the Tibetan Eagle. So I'm gonna go with Sumaderji by a close decision as well, where he better capitalize on having a fucking 10-inch reach advantage. If you can't win a striking bout like that, because Aguilar can grapple, but he really don't shoot takedowns like that. He's down to scrap. So I mean, this is kind of catered to you. You should be able to be pretty effective on the back feet, going forward, laterally. You have a 10-inch reach advantage. If you can't win this, I mean, what do I gotta say? Sumaderji, close decision win.
Mike, ready?
Yeah, my bad. Um, moving on. We got another flyweight fight. We got Cody Durden taking on Damn. I am not going to attempt bro's name.
Diamond
It is.
Jargle Barrel. That's my best.
I'm just gonna call him by his fucking nickname. Fuck all that shit. The Art of Knockout. That's a pretty cool name. I'm gonna go with the Art of Knockout here. I think he's just gonna fuck up Cody. Cody Durden's too old and he's taking too much damage. I don't really see Cody doing crazy shit at 34 and in the big old 125 division. Never say never, but I think Cody's done. He's been getting knocked out too many times and he's getting subbed too many times. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Art of Knockout here. I'm gonna go with a first round knockout.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to be breaking the streak. I'm going to be picking Cody Durden over Niem Jargle Tumendemberl. Yeah. I'm gonna pick Cody Durden. I've actually seen this guy's fight, Carlos Hernandez fight back in the day. It was a very sloppy, shit looking fight. I tried to look up tape for him this week, and I haven't found anything. Like not even fucking highlight reels, barely. I was able to find one where it looked like he had some decent grappling, and he hit like a decent reversal on some can on Road to UFC. He swings hard. He's not a good striker though, from what I've seen. He really has like no flyweight skill, which is honestly what's making me pick Cody Durden. I feel like Cody Durden's actually the better striker and the better wrestler potentially. I really like the sweep I saw from Tum and Dembrel, but I'm not going off of a lot. The Carlos Hernandez fight, I remember Carlos Hernandez having him in crucifix. That's a fucking terrible look. I think Cody Durden's got some Speedy Gonzalez boxing. Honestly, every person he's lost to is night and day better than Niem Jargle Temborel. I actually think Niem Jargle Temborel is more along the lines of like a Jake Hadley as far as skill level goes. Honestly, I think I'd probably pick Jake Hadley to beat him. I don't trust Niem Jargle Temborel. I feel like he swings like a tard. Uh, they call him Art of the Knockout, and he has like fucking 2 knockouts. It's not a very good accurate nickname, and he's just swinging like tard arm shots. If he hits Cody Durden, he will probably sleep him. He's a guy like I feel like he doesn't have a lot of natural power, but he swings as hard as he can. So if he hits you, you're probably going to sleep. It also makes me feel like if you're missing these shots, you're going to gas out. Cody Durden's pretty good. I don't think he's going to get submitted by Niam Jargle. And I worry about him getting hit by one of the haymakers, but I'm honestly going to trust Cody Durden to just be more experienced, fought the better people, didn't get finished in an almost purely striking fight against Joshua Van. I did like that. Like he was able to eat his shots. I think Niam Jargle is a fraud. There's a reason all the Mongols come out of Kazakhstan instead of Mongolia. I'm going to say Cody Durden, decision.
A fight in the flyweight division. Our first of 3 bouts featuring a fighter named Cody, hailing from the USA. Cody Durden going up against Tumdenborough. Art of Knockout with 2 knockouts. It's kind of funny. But I mean, this is pretty obvious. Like in terms of strength of competition, it's not even close. Cody Durden's been in there with some real guys: Muhammad Makayev, Charles Johnson, Tagiru Umbekov, Bruno Silva, Jose Ochoa, Alan Escameno. I mean, these are some legit contenders in the flyweight division. So I think in terms of experience and overall skill, I think you do have to say Cody Durden is the better fighter, despite having the worst record. He is older, 34, flyweight. Curious to see how he's able to keep up with the pace of these guys. Tumden Barrow, only 1 pro loss, the decision. He lost to Carlos Hernandez, I believe. It was a close fight, though. He had some reversals, he had some sweeps, he had some knockdowns. He's not a minute winner. I do feel as though, like, this is the type of fight where Cody Durden is going to be winning till he's not. I think that is what this fight's going to look like. I think early on, the volume, the wrestling attempts, Cody lately has been coming out pretty good in the first round too. Like he's come out sharp in the first round, so I wouldn't surprise me if he wins the first round. It's just the constant fear of his durability. But he only really has been knocked out like twice in his career out of 25 plus pro fights. So his chin isn't great. He's actually had a submission problem, really. Like he's been subbed well over like 4+ times. He's been subbed like 5 times. I think the finishing upside is Tumden Barrel, just because of his style and the way and the intensity he throws, the bigger shots. I think the moments and the potential finish will be Barrow, but I think if this fight does go the distance, you would venture to think that he outvolumes him. It's a tough fight. I'm gonna go art of knockout, even though he doesn't get knockouts. I think he's just gonna do more. I think he will find a way to land a big shot. I think Cody Durden's gonna come out hot in that first round, land some takedowns, land total strikes, look good in the striking, and early on it's gonna be looking like, yeah, Cody Durden's gonna have a field day with this dude. He's gonna go on to like a 30-27. And then in the second round, I mean, it's terrible that I have to make a prediction based on this, but a random exchange will occur where Cody Durden is feeling himself on the feet. That's a dog barking, so maybe that's a sign Cody Durden wins. But I think he's gonna get too overzealous, too overconfident, and he's gonna fuck around in the pocket more than he should. He's gonna get dropped, and it's either gonna be a club and sub or a knockout. But officially, I'm gonna go. I kind of am talking myself into the club and sub a little bit, but I'll go second round knockout, Timden Barrow, where Cody Durden wins the first round, and I think in the second round, Timden Barrow is gonna realize, okay, I'm probably down a round. I got to do something big. And Cody Durden's feeling himself on the feet, should be wrestling when he's not, gets in the pocket, gets clipped. I could see the club and sub, but I think he's just going to continue with the shots until the ref steps off him. So I'm going to go second round TKO, Tim Nimbro.
Alrighty, moving on. We got a fight in the featherweight division. My bad. We got Alberto Montez taking on Ricky Tercios. I guess Ricky Tercios is moving up in weight. It looks like. I'm going with Alberto Montez here. I think he's gonna sub Ricky Tercios. Ricky's too shit, and I've seen him get into two exchanges where I don't like. His defense is ass. His grappling is worse. I think I saw him. It was a fight in the Ultimate Fighter. I forgot Bro's name, but Bro was just taking him down nonstop. And I think the only reason why Ricky won that fight is off damage. But I think Alberto, if he gets him down, I think he's gonna sub him here, and I'm confident he's gonna get the submission here. And his last three fights are by Anaconda or Darce, so I'm gonna go with him keeping the submission streak rolling. I'm going with Alberto Montez by submission.
I'm gonna have to agree with Mike. I'm gonna be going Alberto Montez. I feel like a lot of the time when these contender series guys come into the UFC, they're given bums, and we're kind of just guilted into picking the contender series guy, despite us not knowing a whole lot about him. Looking at Alberto Montez, he has a good grappling game. I think both guys at some point will go to the ground. Getting knocked out as a contender before getting to the UFC more recently, I don't like that look. Tercios can make it a scrap, but I look at Tercios as shit. And, I know more about Tercios, and I know Tercios is shit. So that makes me automatically, be like, okay, Montez probably wins, just based on that. I know Tricky Tercios is shit. Whereas I feel like what I've seen out of Alberto Montez in the contender series look pretty good. Of course, it's at a different level, but going to the ground, I think he's a better grappler than Tercios. He seems to want to go to the ground pretty often. So I'm going to go Alberto Montes. I think Ricky's the type of tard to once he's like in bottom guard, he's just going to like try to throw up rubber guard instead of trying to get up or some shit like that. I'm going to say Alberto Montes. He seems to like the anaconda choke a lot. So I'm going to pick him by anaconda choke in the second round.
Our third final debutante of the card, Alberto Montez, going up against Ricky Tercios. This bout is in the featherweight division. Is that correct? So this is Tercios moving up to 140. Tough fight. I think Tercios is the type of fighter where he does better as the fight progresses. I feel like in the third round is low key kind of like his best round just based on his style. But he has like fights like the Amin Zahabi fight where I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But then he has fights like the Brady Highstand in the Ultimate Fighter where he was able to overcome a very wrestling heavy takedown threat. I think Alberto Montez is like very sub heavy. He go like riding a 3-fight submission streak, at least from what I've seen. It's his debut. The bright lights. I think Tercios is more conditioned if the fight gets extended. Um, it's tough because I think if Alberto Montez doesn't get an early sub, I think Tercios could make this a bit of a fight more than people expect. His takedown defense isn't good though, and he doesn't really get knocked out. He's been subbed, and he loses decisions. That's how most of his losses recently have been coming. I'm kind of thinking decision. And the reason I say that is because I feel like Montez will get submission opportunities and positions where he looks like he's going to get the fight over, but I think Tercios is going to try to like ride it out. And in doing that, he'll give up massive amounts of top time and control time for Alberto Montez to just kind of keep getting total strikes and maintaining position throughout the round. I think submission is the right pick because that's like what Montez has been doing lately. But I could also see like Tercios defending the subs and just like getting 15 minutes of Montez on top of him, or at least 10, at least a solid 10 minutes, and then he has to kind of sweat and survive the third round. I think I'll go that. I think I'll go Alberto Montez a decision win where it looks like he has multiple submissions in, but he doesn't. Tercios does just enough to survive, but it doesn't matter because Montez would have just been on top of him for pretty much 2 out of 3 rounds. And it'll be a bit of a sweaty third round where he's going to kind of just be circling and not really engaging and just trying to survive. I think Montez wins a 2-1 decision where he wins the first and the second, where it looks like he has a sub in the first, but Tercios does just enough to survive, but still can't get up. I'm going to go Alberto Montez decision win in his UFC debut.
Alrighty, moving on. We got a fight in the middleweight division. We got Dante Johnson taking on Cody Brundage. To be honest, this ain't even a fight. This is a fucking lamb slaughter. I think Dante Johnson's just gonna kill Cody Brundage. It's not even a thought. I don't think. I know. He's gonna fucking kill him, bro. Cody Brundage is fucking out of here. I swear, if Cody Brundage gets slimed out badly, like how I know he's going to, and if he doesn't get cut, there is some weird Epstein file type of fucking things that are going on with Cody Brundage and Dana White. There is no way if you lose this fight, you're not out of the UFC. That would mark like several fights in a row for him that he's lost. And nothing has been done with, and he would be 11-9. We don't need Cody Brundage. The only time we use Cody Brundage is like a freaking blow up doll, like that's the only time we'll use this man. But I think I've yapped far too long about this. Cody Brundage is gonna last longer than this whole fucking breakdown. Let's be honest here. I'm gonna go first round knockout for Dante Johnson. He's gonna give that boy lockjaw.
I'm gonna have to go with Dante Johnson by murder. I picked one Cody. I ain't picking this one. This is, I feel like, the easiest Cody to pick against on this card. Brundage sucks. He shouldn't really be here, but he keeps like fluking a DQ win in his favor that's like breaks the streak. And then Dana's like, "Oh, I love everything about this kid. Re-sign him. Give him 20 for 20." Yeah, I think Dante Johnson's an athlete and he's powerful. He knows how to wrestle and strike. And if you can do those things, Cody Brundage won't fluke you out. You know, Cody Brundage has like okay cardio sometimes. Maybe he can use that to beat you. He's got some okay wrestling, some okay striking. But really, it's like, I mean, bro trains at the school of Anthony Smith. Like, that's his dojo masters. Fucking Anthony Smith. He's learning from the best at curling up into a ball. He evolved the game. Now they're rolling up into a ball and getting DQ wins out of it. You know what I mean? Like Anthony Smith, like he's watching his boy change the game when it comes to rolling up into a ball. But yeah, no, he's gonna roll up into a ball and TKO'd. Dante Johnson, first round, unconsensual.
Yeah, clean sweep. I think this is kind of like the square pick of the fight card altogether. I think this is like everybody's got the same idea of what's going to happen in this one. Yeah, I'm gonna go first round knockout Dante Johnson as well. Yeah, got like his entire career essentially is first round knockouts. His last fight he wasn't able to get that. He actually got a second round submission against Cedricus Dumas, and for the people that think Cody Brundage does have a chance, no credit to you. You got more faith than I do. He got out grappled by Cedricus Dumas, and I know they're thinking like, well, Dumas was able to like kind of grapple Johnson in that first round, so Brundage could get top time and takedowns and stuff like that. But Johnson subbed Dumas, who out grappled Brundage in a decision. I know MMA math isn't always on point like that, but I think this is the one of those occurrences where it is. I think because Johnson's just a superior athlete. I think he coming from heavyweight to middleweight, you know, he's like one of the rare examples where like a weight cut like really went in their favor. He's like a Jared Cannonier in my opinion, where he's coming from that heavier weight class, retaining that power, but gaining like speed and skill like in the lighter weight classes. I don't know how to explain it. Johnson's a bit of an anomaly athletically. Yeah, I expect him to destroy Cody Brundage first round TKO. Yeah, brutal.
Yeah, nothing really else to say. That's the lock of the card, in my opinion. Anyways, moving on. We got a bantamweight fight. Another Cody is in here, but he is less shit, of course. Cody Garbrandt is taking on Long Zhao. I'm going with Cody Garbrandt here. I know people are probably gonna pick against him after getting cooked by Hani Barcelos, but let's be honest. Ronnie Barcelos is like that for how old this motherfucker is, and for Cody to be an underdog against Long Zhao is dumb as shit in my opinion. I think Long Zhao is garbage. Like there's levels between losing to Hani Barcelos and losing to Long Zhao. If losing, if he loses to Long Zhao, retire. Get put the gloves down. I don't know what you got to do to say like I don't got it no more. This has got to be the fight. If Cody loses, he needs to say I'm done. I can't do this no more. I can't even beat Long Zhao. It's horrible. But yeah, I got Cody winning this. I think when it comes to this level of competition, Cody looks like he's still got it and shit. And to be frank, before Cody was getting outclassed in round 2 and 3, he was looking phenomenal against Hani Barcelos in the first round. I had him winning the first round too. Uh for a method of victory. I could see Cody finishing him, but I'm gonna go with the Cody Garbrandt decision here. I think he's just gonna style on Long Zhao, maybe get a few knockdowns here and there, and it will show like Cody's got it still. And for a 34-year-old, he's still pretty fast, still moves right. It's just we this is I think this is gonna determine to see if Cody still got it or not, and if he loses to Long Zhao, retire.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with good old Cody Garbrandt. I think this is the easiest Cody to pick on the card. I don't think Long Zhao is that impressive. He's just kind of a can from fucking Road to UFC. 27-10, shit record. Like, how do you get like a fucking worse record than Cody Garbrandt damn near before you even get in the UFC? You know what I mean? Like 14-7, that's like half losses. Cardi Garbrandt's record is probably worse, but like racking up that many losses before going into the UFC, low key kind of seems like a China thing. A lot of Chinese fighters come in with like 10 losses, 8 losses, 9 losses. I feel like going in there against a guy like Cody Garbrandt, who's fast, you know, he's not as dangerous as he used to be. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's got a level of grappling as well that he can like kind of like counter wrestle. Like he can counter with a takedown type of shit. Like that's one of his like favorite counters is just like the blast double under a shot. I think looking at Long Zhao, he's losing to other guys like him. Pause. But like other road to UFC guys, I guess, like Su Young Yu, Chang Ho Lee. You know, these guys aren't crazy impressive. Young Yu is pretty good actually, but Chang Ho Lee, pretty mid. You know, his only win in the UFC is Quang Lee, also pretty mid. Uh, I think Cody Garbrandt's able to just use his footwork, which is actually really good, and just kind of stay on the outside, and we'll watch a more or less boring Cody Garbrandt decision. I think we're past him like murdering Kelleher and all that shit. Like I think we're only going to see that against other unks. Long Zhao's pretty young. I think he's going to be durable enough to not get KO'd, and I think he's going to stay safe and he's going to go for Cody, which I think is going to make Cody somewhat scared, and then Cody's going to want to play it safe. Like I could see him hitting Cody with something decent in the first round, and then Cody just like range maxes for the next 2 rounds and just sticks on the outside. That's the way I see this fight going. Cody Garbrandt, I still think is the better fighter against more or less bottom of the barrel people. I don't see Long Zhao as anything special. Cody Garbrandt, 30-27.
Bantamweight fight. featuring one of the former champions on this card, and Cody Garbrandt going against Long Zhao. Yeah, 27-10. He's like 27 years old. Yeah, 27 years old, 27-10 record. Fought in China. Now he's going against a former champion, and Cody Garbrandt, whose record isn't that good, but in context, it's all UFC essentially. All of his losses. I mean, Dillashaw back to back, Pedro Munoz, Rob Font, Kai Car France in a weight move that he shouldn't have taken. Uh, Everson Figueiredo, Hani Barcelos. I mean, these losses are pretty credible in my opinion. All fighters who I would say are objectively better than Long Xiao and damn near every facet of MMA. Long Xiao, he has good clinch. He had a fight where he threw like 50 elbows in the clinch. It was crazy. I think Garbrandt's the better skilled mixed martial artist. I think he's a better wrestler. I think he's faster. I think he has more power. But his gas tank isn't great the older he's getting. But power is the last thing to go, and I still think he does have that. He won the first round against Hani Barcelos and then proceeded to get outworked. Barcelos is on a pretty good win streak right now. Beat Talbot, beat Garbrandt, beat Simone. So I think his gas tank speaks for itself despite his age. Long Xiao, like his striking isn't crazy, technical or power. He's just kind of like there, he's a gamer. I think he's there for the fight. He's been knocked out 3 times. I think this is set up for Garbrandt though, man. I think stylistically, this guy is not a better wrestler than you. This guy's not a better striker than you. This guy hasn't fought as many guys as you have in terms of resume. I think this is Garbrandt's bounce back opportunity here. If he doesn't win, it really tells you to decline where it's at. But like I said, I think all of those losses are levels ahead of Long Jiao. And I picked one Chinese fighter on this card before in Sumaderji. I'm fading this one in Long Jiao. I'm gonna go Cody Garbrandt. I am torn between an early knockout and a decision because I think Alex and Mike made all the right points as to how this could become a decision. I could see Garbrandt getting knockdowns. I could see him effectively fighting on the outside, not really needing to go crazy in the pocket, kind of just being ahead and just coasting. Even get a takedown if he needs to. But I could also see Long Jiao being, like trying to make the most of the moment, going against a former champion, trying to make a name for himself, being very aggressive early and leading to counter shots where Garbrandt could just be faster and be more effective on the exit. I could see an early knockout. I think this is kind of designed for that to be that because Long Jiao goes forward. Like he's not a back foot fighter. Like he just kind of is there. He's a guy who's just there for a scrap. I think that is his style. Um, it's a matter of can he take the shot early. I think Garbrandt. I don't know if I trust the gas tank late in a decision-based scenario. So he's come out pretty good in the first round in these last couple fights. Even like the Devison fight, like he looked. If Devison doesn't get that back take, that fight's like 50-50. He was looking good against Figgy. I think I will go late first round knockout Cody Garbrandt. I think Long Xiao is going to go forward. I think he's going to be hittable, and I think Garbrandt's going to look like his former self in this fight. I think it's designed for him to do that. I don't hate the decision takes. I could see it. But I just think Long Xiao isn't going to be there to like point fight. I think he's going to be there for a scrap, and that's going to lead to his demise. I'm going to go with a first round counter knockout for Cody Garbrandt in a nice bounce back moment in his career as an underdog.
Trying to get that Kelleher one back, huh, Tony?
I know, right? Yeah. I'm the same guy that picked Brian Kelleher, but I'm the same guy that picked him to beat Hani Barcelos. It's MMA. It doesn't make sense. I will say though, in that Kelleher fight, just justify. I thought he would fight with like a crackhead like intensity, willingness to go forward. He didn't. He kind of just gave Cody range to just knock him out, and that was a bad pick. But I think the longer the fight goes, Long Xiao actually will build into the fight. That's why I think Garbrandt needs to be like locked in early. Really take advantage of like some mistakes and just counter strike them.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm going with decision. I think he's just gonna counter the fuck out of him, to start pinging him with counter shots. Pause.
If he doesn't get him out of there early, like those knockdowns and those big shots early would have been enough to ride out a decision. I could see that happening too. But I just think this kind of matchup, I think this is designed for Cody to have a big moment. Because Long
Yeah.
Xiao goes forward in a straight line. I think Garbrandt clips him.
Yeah.
I hope
All
so.
right. Moving on. We got a first a tough fight to start the main card on. we got a rematch. Gregory Rodriguez taking on Bruno Fajea, the Hulk versus RoboCop Part 2. I'm gonna go with Bruno Fajea here to two-peat Gregory Rodriguez. I get where people are going at, where Gregory Rodriguez can grapple. If he grapples, he'll win. But I think Bruno Fajea has been improving his game since the Abus fight. Ever since he looked fucking retarded against Abus. He's been going on a tear lately. So we'll see how that goes. And also Fajea's getting older. I don't like that, and he's been taking a little damage. And honestly, I get it. People think that fight there was improvements and stuff, but to be honest with you, that fight wasn't really that long ago. And Bruno Fajea, I mean not Bruno Fajea, Gregory Rodriguez don't really his improvement I think is just the grappling. Other than that, his defense is still iffy. Like Jack Hermanson, before he got slimed out, he was piecing Gregory Rodriguez up on the feet. And I think if Jack Hermanson can piece you up on the feet, I think Bruno Fajea is definitely going to have some time with you. And there was some moments in the press conference that I saw that Gregory Rodriguez was kind of, you could tell like there's some like I want to get back there. Like I want to knock the dude that knocked me out and get the get back there. I feel like that this is going to be a striking fight again, and I think Bruno Fajea is gonna get the knockout again. There was some shots that he was landing on Marvin Vettori, and I was like, how the fuck is Marvin Vettori like still standing? And you know, if those are the shots that he brings back to land on Gregory Rodriguez, Gregory's going back to sleep and again. And yeah, I think I've yapped a little bit too much about this fight. I'm going with Bruno Fajea. He's gonna get the two-peat here. The method, it could be either a close decision for Bruno, that Gregory improves on the striking, he's more patient, doesn't get into the pocket too much, but there's some damage on Gregory, and I think they want to promote Bruno more, that he's a 15-2 guy, beat Rodriguez before, and now he's getting higher in the rankings by beating Gregory again. So yeah, I think Bruno's gonna get it done. But my method, I'm going with it ended in the first round. I don't think it's gonna be that quick again. I think it's gonna be a second round finish for Fajea. I think that Bruno will try to grapple, and once he starts grappling, he's gonna get exhausted, and Bruno's gonna catch him.
Good fight, intriguing rematch. Both guys, power punchers. I don't see this fight going the distance. I think it'll be a knockout one way or another. First fight, which Mike said really wasn't that long ago. Bruno got that done by KO, and that was his short notice debut into the UFC. I do rate that. I actually just watched this fight like 2 minutes ago. I watched it up here. If you saw me looking away, uh, and honestly, Bruno was catching him with some good shots. RoboCop found a flow state and started to clip Bruno. He started hitting with Bruno with clinch uppercuts a lot, and that was like a big mood for RoboCop in the first fight. Whereas like Bruno was like low key able to time the momentum in his favor. Like right in the beginning of the first round, like right in the beginning, he timed an overhand and like kind of almost hurt Gregory. And then towards the end of the fight, the shot that actually knocked out Gregory was a straight left. It didn't look like it had that much pop on it, to be honest. He was just kind of throwing it out, and it landed and KO'd him. RoboCop's good. I almost picked him, but man, getting KO'd by Jordan Williams, a diabetic like that. Oh, a diabetic welterweight. It's not the move. Both guys are good grapplers. I don't see one of them having a grappling advantage over the other. Both of them actually shot on each other in the first fight. I know Bruno 100% did. He got denied. And somehow, I want to say it was either Gregory shooting or Bruno getting reversed. Gregory winded up almost taking his back. But like the reversal in UFC 5, like when they're on your back, you can like grab their arm and pull them off you and stand back up. Bruno did that and got wrapped back up to his feet. So I think the grappling is going to be a wash. It's going to be on the feet. Both guys are going to want to more or less trade hooks. Gregory wants to move forward. Bruno already proved that he can counter and play the matador in that role and also pick his shots more than Gregory did and hurt Gregory. A lot of the wins Gregory's had recently are people that can't stop that momentum like Bruno can or Jared Cannonier can. You know, Jack Hermanson coming off of a shoulder surgery, he's got a jab and footwork. If you're able to not be Chris Curtis and corner him down, you know, you can fucking shit him. And Bruno, I don't think that's the way he is. He looked shifty. I think he's improved since the first fight. Uh, the Vittori fight was a bad look, but Vittori and RoboCop's chins are worlds apart. Vittori can't be KO'd, and RoboCop, it's like two more KOs and he's Benil. Like I'm gonna pick I'm gonna my bad. I'm gonna pick Bruno Ferreira by knockout. I think it'll be a fun fight as long as it lasts. I think I'm gonna follow Mike and go second round. I think the first round will be a scrap. I think RoboCop will start like blitzing him and have a moment. Bruno will eventually counter and have his own moment. And I think at some point they're gonna be in a pocket exchange. Two guys, two hard hitters, both are gonna be hitting each other. I'm gonna pick the guy with the better chin and who has historically proven to be able to beat the other guy and is a year younger. Give me Bruno Ferreira, second round KO. Look.
Our first of two rematches. Is this the main card opener? Is that correct? Main card opener to 326. This is a banger, man. This is a great rematch. RoboCop versus the Hulk, man. Two Brazilian juggernauts. What else could be said? These two guys go forward. These two guys take risks. They take shots, and this is a rematch. RoboCop is favored in the rematch despite losing. He was the favorite in the first fight as well. So the odds makers seem to think that he is capable of winning this fight despite getting knocked out and the questions of his durability. My thing is with RoboCop, like I feel like he could be so much better of a fighter if he played more into his grappling. I feel like he is effective on the feet. He has power. He has good pressure, and he's not a terrible striker. But I feel like his grappling, there's like a dimension of his game that he really doesn't utilize as much as he really can in fights, and he'll mix it like very rarely. The last time I really saw him effectively like grapple for real was like CLD. I think he was able to get takedowns in that fight, but his durability is kind of untrustworthy. I think if you told me that he was able to get takedowns, like I would think about making him the favorite, but he just never really seems to grapple as much as he wants to, as much as I want him to. I feel like he can really be more of a favorite if he played into that. I feel like the submission threat, the ground and pound. But the more I think about it, I feel like he doesn't grapple as much because it must be a cardio concern. His gas tank isn't that great. His defense isn't that great. He's been knocked out more times than Bruno has, and Bruno's been one of the guys to knock him out. Originally, I was of the mindset to go RoboCop in the rematch. I was thinking that, having been knocked out the first time by this guy, that you're going to grapple. I'm going to trust you to do so, but it's a BMF title fight. I feel like a lot of guys are going to try to go for bonuses. And I feel like this being a rematch, like, RoboCop's going to want to slug it out with Bruno. And if you're telling me they're going to slug it out, it's 50-50, but it's kind of 60-40 Bruno because his durability I trust more than RoboCop's. And going the distance with Marvin Vittori, it doesn't look that impressive, but his gas tank looked better than I expected it to. I thought in the third round that like Vittori would like clearly walk away with it. It was a good fight though. He held his own. Whereas when RoboCop kind of took a step forward against Cannonier, like he hurt him, but he wasn't able to put him away and ended up getting finished late. I was gonna go RoboCop, but I think I've been convinced. I'm gonna go Bruno Ferreira, and I'm torn between knockout and the longer the fight goes, I actually think that he could actually be decent in rounds 2 and 3, despite the narrative on his gas tank. RoboCop's gas tank isn't great either. It was a first round knockout the first time. I do think this fight can make it out of the first round. I'm gonna go with a. I'll go third round TKO Bruno Ferreira. I think it's gonna be a back and forth fight. I think Bruno is gonna land a big shot in the first round, and it's gonna rattle RoboCop, and he's gonna immediately shoot. I think he gets it. I think he gets top time. I think he's able to inflict a little bit of ground and pound too. It'll be a close round, and it'll kind of be like damn near even. Bruno got the knockdown and he got the big moment, but RoboCop was pretty much on top of him for most of the round because he was able to like get that takedown as soon as he got hurt. And in the second round, I think RoboCop's gonna kind of like go back to the grappling. I'm expecting him to grapple more than he would, only because he's kind of like panic wrestling. But I think Bruno, as the round progresses, he's going to stuff the takedowns. It's going to be easier to see them coming. He's going to be landing shots in those entries to the body, like knees and little body hooks. And then I think if this fight does make it past the second round, by that third round, I think RoboCop's going to be exhausted from the grappling attempts going forward, like overextending on big shots, and I think it's going to lead to Bruno just being the fresher guy in the third and ultimately TKOing him. I'm gonna go with third round TKO Bruno Ferreira in a war where it's like 1-1 going into the third.
Yeah. Uh, we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next fight, we got Drew Dober taking on Michael Johnson. This is a if you know moment. You know, Drew Dober, good against, brothers in the UFC. I have been seeing some tape where I'm like, it's giving me a thought. I was originally gonna go with Drew Dober, but he hasn't been looking like himself lately. He hasn't been giving me that motivated Drew Dober that we've been love to know, love seeing. But I'm going with Michael Johnson here. I think MJ is gonna do it for the black community. I think I think he's gonna slay Drew Dober here and give Drew Dober his wishes and by slaying the whole racially motivated Dober memes. And I'm torn by going with a knockout per MJ or a decision. I'll go decision. I could see myself switching it by knockout, but I'm gonna go decision because I don't know. I just haven't been liking. All jokes aside, I haven't really been liking the whole Drew Dober factors lately. Like I think Drew, he's getting older. He's getting touched up more. I know MJ's damn near 40, but something's telling me MJ's gonna pull it off here. And Tony actually told me to rewatch the Prepolek fight, and I agree with him. If Prepolek don't get kicked in the dick, he wins the fight. And also, I did a little tape on other fights too. Matt Frovola, he finished him, and I think Michael Johnson is a way better finisher than Matt Frovola. If Matt Frovola's finishing you, Michael Johnson could too, and I think I think there's some damage that's going to be done. And I saw the Bobby Green fight as well. I did some tape on some black folks that had fights with Drew Dober, and he nearly lost some of them. Nearly lost to McKinney. If McKinney had a gas tank, he actually goes on to finish that fight. If what's his name? If Bobby Green doesn't get chinned, he wins the fight too, because it was looking like a vintage Bobby Green fight where he's just piecing him up, taunting him, and making him miss. Bobby Green for sure has better defense, but I'm going with Michael Johnson here. I think Michael Johnson's gonna get it done, and the streak here, and the black community's finally gotten Drew Dober.
Now, this is a tough fight. Now, this is a very interesting fight, for a couple reasons too. Of course, racially motivated Dober, people say, is a mythical fighter. And when it comes to Michael Johnson, he is also a mythical fighter because you don't know exactly which Michael Johnson's going to show up. It's a roll of the dice. I'm looking back at his career and I'm like, you know what? Right now, we're getting a pretty damn good Michael Johnson. Like these last couple fights, these are going pretty well. And then I look back at who he's beating. Daniel Zellhuber by decision. At the time, we thought that was crazy. Huge underdog. Bobby Green TKOs him in the second round. When has Bobby done that to anybody? You know, and I think Michael Johnson should be a better finisher than Bobby Green. Otman Azaitar, terrible fighter, roid sheet, bag of potato maxer. Uh, Darius Flowers sucks. He's got no potential. And before that, it was the Fahea KO. And before that, he beat Mark Jacasey, who's out of the UFC. Alan Patrick, who's out of the UFC. He went to war with Jamie Malarkey. I'm picking Drew Dober by murder in the second round. I like Michael Johnson. He's looked good, but I think it's deceiving us. I think this Zellhuber win isn't aging well. Darius Flowers and Atman Zaitar have not aged well. And Mark Jacasey and Alan Patrick haven't aged well. Since 2020, the only one win that Michael Johnson has in the UFC still is Zellhuber. All of his other wins have been cut. Whereas he's losing in a war where he probably should have won to Malarkey, getting starched by Fajea, getting out grappled by Clay Guida, and getting submitted by Thiago Moises. And before that, it was Stevie Ray. I don't even know who that is. I'm gonna go Drew Dober by murder. I think Michael Johnson's gonna be piecing him up though early. I think Michael Johnson's gonna look like he's gonna win until he doesn't. That Preplik fight does scare me thinking about this. You know, I think Preplik and Michael Johnson, looking at the tape, would probably go to the decision. Is what I think. Drew Dober has got good power. I don't think he's as good of a striker as Michael Johnson, but I feel like three wins in a row. It feels like it's about time for Michael Johnson to get slept again. And Drew Dober, I mean, he's activating his his passive. It's going to be active during the whole fight, and I agree with Mike. He hasn't seemed as bloodlusted, I guess, in the press conference in the embedded. But I mean, you put somebody in the cage, across from an opponent who, they want to beat for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure why it is that he has so much success against certain opponents, but he does. And seems to be lining up with not only Drew Dober's passive card, but Michael Johnson potentially feeling due for a KO. I'm gonna go Drew Dober second round, hate crime.
Banger in the lightweight division in this main card on the BMF. This is a fitting fight for the BMF card, honestly. This really is. This is going to be a proper scrap. These guys have been like hallmarks of the lightweight division. Um, Michael Johnson's tied for most knockdowns in lightweight history, and Drew Dober, I'm pretty sure he's very much at least like in the top 5 in most knockouts in lightweight history. In fact, I think he passed Dustin Poirier on the all-time ladder in lightweights. Not total knockouts because Dustin had fights at 145, but at 155, I think Drew Dober is like he might be the all-time knockout leader. He just might be. That being said, I do think I do hear some logic into what my Alex is saying about we could be being trapped. You would not believe if I told you going into 2026, Michael Johnson is on like a 3-fight plus win streak. You would not believe that. It's insane to say that, given like the history of how 50-50 of a fighter he can be. That being said, for as being as 50-50 as he is, you would think he would get knocked out like more prolifically. He's only been knocked out 3 times by Carlos Diego Fajea, Josh Emmett, and prime Justin Gaethje. Like UFC debut Gaethje. He's pretty durable for the most part. But that being said, I do think the level of competition that they're facing is night and day. Alex alluded to it. I didn't even know that fucking his only win in the UFC still is Huber. Like if he didn't get that, he'd have no wins in the UFC currently. Drew Dober is losing fights. He is looking not that great in those same fights. But look who it's against. It's against like Manuel Torres, Gene Silva, um, Kyle Prepelic. I wanted to pick him. I think I may have picked him on the podcast. I wanted to place a bet on him, but I didn't. I'm glad I didn't because I saved myself from that hurt. I do really believe Dober needed to cheat in that fight in Canada to win. Prepelec was very much winning that fight, in my opinion. Dober hasn't looked as good, but he is fighting like top guys. Both these guys are 35 plus years old. You know, I do think Dober's faced better competition. And if you know ball and you know Drew Dober, what the narrative of this fight is, that this is supposed to be his prime environment. This is his prime matchup. He'd love this, right? Well, Uno reverse card. If you also know ball and you've kept track of what's going on, he just denounced the memes. He just consulted Michael Johnson. Like, I don't approve of that. You know, that's not my character. That's not my build. I don't like those memes. So he now has denounced the abilities of that meme, which in theory means like, you know, maybe he won't be as good as he is in this spot. And I do understand that he is fighting better guys, but I just think Michael Johnson is a straight up better striker. Real talk. I think his boxing's better. I think he's a more skilled fighter than Prepolek, but I do think Prepolek, you know, has a better chin. That's his first like pro knockout loss. Drew Dober having to cheat to knock out Prepolek. That's like the first time ever knocked out. Michael Johnson's chin at 40, like near 40. Don't necessarily trust it. But I think skill for skill, striking wise, I think he's the cleaner boxer. I don't like what I've seen from Dober. And even if he tries to wrestle, I trust Michael Johnson's takedown defense. And I just like who Michael Johnson's training with and getting reps at Killcliff. This is a 50-50 fight. But I feel like everybody who's picking Dober is kind of picking him the same way. They're thinking it's going to be like the Bobby Green fight. He's going to be pieced up, he's going to be losing, and then he's going to find the shot, and the fight's over. He just got knocked out, Michael Johnson's cold, and the fight's over. Which I completely get. I completely understand that, and I do understand how possible that is. But if he doesn't land the shot, I think Michael Johnson's tuning him up, and he could even get a knockout. I think Michael Johnson is the gap in boxing will be visible early. I think he's going to be way more effective on the counter, better head movement, straight punches are going to look crispier. Yeah, I feel like if you're picking Dober, you're picking him to definitely lose like the first like couple minutes, if not first round, and then land a big shot. Basically a puncher's chance, which does happen in the fight and should happen with Michael Johnson, who's going to strike. But it's hard to believe, but I'm going to go with Michael Johnson. I picked Zellhuber against him a fight ago, but Zellhuber win is not aging as well for sure. And this is supposed to be Dober's prime spot, like matchup opportunity. But I'm going to go MJ. I could see a knockout. I could also see a decision. I'll go. I'll go decision. I think Drew Dober's tough. He's hard to knock out, but his chin is going too, man. Now I'll go bold. I'll go bold. I'm gonna go second round knockout MJ. I think he's just gonna be lighting up Dober, man. I think the boxing is gonna look pretty visible, unless Dober lands a big shot. MJ kind of, I think he walks away with this. So I'm gonna go MJ second round knockout. Dober is tough.
Alrighty, moving on. We got the featured fight: Rob Font taking on Raul Rosas Jr. I want to pick Rob Font to win. I really do, because if Raul can't get him down, Rob Font's gonna piece him up. Like, Rob Font's boxing is still good at 38 years old, man. But I cannot pick a New England cartel filth to save my life. Even though I heard he was training with Faraz Zahabi. I think he's been training with Faraz Zahabi a little bit in this camp, I think. But I like the tools for Raul Rosas more. He's been training with Aljo, Marab, and for a grappler like him and very young, that's a very good team to train with, especially if you're a grappler coming up. I want to go with Rob Font though. I really do. Something's telling me Rob Font could pull it off. And this is the type of moments that he thrives in, where he's doubted against an up and comer. He beat my boy Adrian Yanez like when he was an underdog, and gosh, this is a tough fight. But if Corey, the reason why I'm picking Raul to win is because if Corey Sandhagen with an injury can take you down at ease, Raul Rosas can too. And Raul's takedown's really good, and he's been improving on his grappling a lot more since. I don't think he's going to finish Rob Font. I think it's going to go to a decision. I want to pick Rob Font badly, but I'm going with Raul here. I think he's just too. I think he's younger, and I think once it gets to a closer fight, they're gonna go with Raul because he's a young up and comer, and they need a Mexican to promote right now, and Mexico's been taking a lot of L's, man. I really want to pick Rob. I could just so see him jabbing his face up, but I don't know. Something's telling me that just stick with the Raul pick for now.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think Raul is going to win. I think they picked this matchup for a reason. This fight fell off once and they rebooked it. I think because they know Raul has a good chance of winning. His grappling is pretty good. I don't think it's as good as the people that glaze him think it is. You know, he's still very young. He's very green. He hasn't been proven against top opponents. And honestly, he struggled in some regards with some of the opponents he has already faced, like Arichi Lang, kind of had moments on the feet and defending takedowns. I'm missing one of them, but I know Christian Rodriguez obviously beat him. Charles, no, he didn't fight Charles Johnson. I don't know who I'm thinking of, but Raul has beaten the guys, the cans, pretty bad, and you know that's impressive. Like your Jay Parents, your Terrence's, I forgot his last name, something Terrence KO'd him. That was his only KO, and that doesn't really necessarily mean to me like you're going to be able to go out there and box with Rob Font. I think it'll be very similar to the Gene Matsumoto fight that Rob Font had, where Rob Font is significantly the better striker, but Gene Matsumoto keeps shooting takedowns. I think the difference, though, is Gene Matsumoto entertained the feet more than I'm hoping Raul will. If Raul strictly goes to takedowns, I think he can have a good shot at winning at least two of the rounds. He might gas, though. Uh, but I think the difference between him and Matsumoto is when he's on top, he's going to be able to keep Rob there for longer, and he's also more dangerous on top. I feel like he has a wider variety of submissions to go to. G Matsumoto's just had too many fights with too many cans and made it too close. Whereas Raul, I feel like he's still improving. He's a big guy for bantamweight. This whole retire at 25 shit's bullshit, dude. You're not even good. You won't even like get a title fight by then, honestly. But you know, I do think he's good enough to beat an older Rob Font. Honestly, New England cartel trash. Uh, love Rob Font, Calvin Cater. They're both the best of the group, but they're still New England cartel. They have no wrestling. A lot of people haven't grappled against Rob Font, and the ones that have win. Outside of like, I feel like the Ricky Simone fight, and Ricky Simone really isn't that good in hindsight. Rob Font's good at the hands. That's about it. Don't get into a boxing exchange with him. I could see a weird fucking world where it's a BMF card. I'm gonna throw down with Rob Font and fucking loses over like 3 rounds, and then he just like swears he wins, and everybody hates him after. I don't know why I just manifested that, but I'm gonna go Raul by decision. I think Rob Font will stay safe on the ground. I don't remember him getting subbed in recent memory. He seems like he's got good survivability, whether he's getting dropped or on the ground. I'm gonna go Raul 29-28. I'm gonna say Rob Font gets the third round when he defends some takedowns and kind of goes ballistic, tries to go for the point down and all that shit. I'm gonna say Rob Font wins the third, but Raul wins the first two, and the judges, in a relatively close fight, give it to Raul.
Feature fight of UFC 326 in the bantamweight division. Raul Rosas going up against Rob Font. Yeah, I think Mike said it best. This is like Rob Font's, a prime spot in his career where he just seems to show the young up and comer like he's veteran savvy and he's able to use his boxing effectively and land big shots and just kind of overwhelm the young prospect. He's been able to like beat Yanez. He's been able to beat like Kyler Phillips. He's still got really good boxing. I think if Raul isn't able to grapple in this fight, Rob Font is very much have this in the bag. Like there's levels of difference in boxing, like very much. Raul Rosas can't really strike effectively, so this fight really just comes down to can Rob Font defend a takedown. Career, I want to say it's below 50%, like near like 44%. Um, Boxing heavy style usually leads to susceptibility with the lead leg on like conventional takedowns and things like that. I think if this fight gets to like round three, Rob Font's got a shot because his gas tank is more proven than Raul's, and his striking, should still be pretty effective if the fight is extended. I think early on though, the danger is very much going to be Raul Rosas. I expect him to be trying to be Hamzat essentially. He's going to be shooting for takedowns instantly. He's going to try to get his grappling going. Maybe he'll like let the first minute play out on the feet. He'll try to see just how sharp the jab is, probably get hit a couple times and be like, all right, yeah, I definitely need to grapple. Like I tried to be a BMF for a couple seconds and it wouldn't pay out. And then I like shoots immediately. I think he gets that first takedown. And like I said, I feel like if this fight's extended, it's gonna be dangerous because Rob Font, like, as the fight goes on, I expect him to be better. Raul Rosas, though, I think there is a gap in the grappling. I think Rob Font's only time he's been subbed is when he got club and subbed against Pedro Munoz, who does have a really good choke, but he hasn't really fought someone other than like Sandhagen in Nashville where they've really tried to make takedowns and grappling a focal point of the offense. Umar, he did get takedowns, but he didn't really like do anything crazy on the ground. Like I felt like he outstruck Sandhagen in that fight, and that's really kind of what won him the decision. I felt like grappling wise, like Sandhagen was able to hold his own with like scrambles and takedown defense. I bring that up because I feel Rob Font like he can't do that. Like if he gets taken down, I feel like he's kind of fucked, especially early. I feel like I think this is a tailor-made matchup. There's gonna be a 17-year age difference between the two. I'm gonna go Raul Rosas. I think this is just like a catered style to him. Um, I honestly want to go sub. I'm gonna go. I'll go second round sub, where I think Rob Font will win like the first minute. The jab's gonna be looking good, and it looks like he's gonna be in store for like a veteran lesson. But Rosas like immediately crashes in with the takedown. Maybe even I think he gets it, but maybe Rob Font like gets right back up, and then they're up against the fence. And then I think Rosas takes his back, drags him, and he's starting to threaten the submission. But Rob Font's like keeping his chin tucked, making sure that he's not able to get his arm underneath him, and that'll kind of be the round. Rosas wins the first round, but then in the second round, Rob Font's gonna like step up. He's gonna be pumping the jab more. He's gonna be trying to sit down on shots. And like that first minute and 30 seconds, like it's gonna look like he's starting to take the fight over, and he's gonna like really like start to beat Rosas as the fight goes on. But Rosas is able to somehow find a scramble where he's able to get on top, and I think he's gonna get a second round arm triangle. I'm gonna go second round arm triangle, Raul Rosas.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got the co-main event of the evening. In the middleweight division, we got Caio, the Natural Bohio, taking on RDR, Rainier de Ritter. I'm going with Caio. I don't like this whole humiliation fetish that Rainier de Ritter's been on. He's kind of giving me some fucking Dutch Adam 22 vibes with his with his comments. He's talking about, "Oh, if I fought easy right now, I get head kick KO'd." Bro, you're a fucking middleweight, bro. You're supposed to say, I'm going to whoop this dude's ass." I'm not trying to be like, "Oh, like you shouldn't be admitting that you would lose to a fighter, no matter how elite Israel Adesanya is." And I know that that I shouldn't be saying that, but like I just don't like it. And then you got bitched by Brendan Allen out of any. If he got bitched by like Nazardine Amavov or if when he was fighting Fluffy, if he got bitched by Fluffy, I would have been like, okay, those are good fighters. I wouldn't mind that. But Brendan Allen, the dude that doesn't even know what race he is at this point. Bro might think he's Chinese now. I don't know, but I don't really. I want to like Rainier, but he's on some weird humiliation fetish. I think Bro might get a little turned if he gets dominated 2-0 against Barrio. Like I don't know what his little fetish is. Dude's a little bit weird in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Caio by. I might go with a late finish. I might go third round TKO. He might just piece him up. I'm not really a big fan of Caio's personality either. He's corny to me, but De Ritter's on some weird humiliation fetish in my opinion, and I don't like that shit. And you're getting bitched by Brendan Allen while Caio's having a close competitive fight against Imavov, which is not bad to say. Like if there was a choice on losing, I would rather have a competitive fight against Imavov than get than quit on the stools against Brendan fucking Allen. But yeah, I think I've yapped far too long about this. I got Caio Barrio, third round TKO.
Yeah, I really don't like Kyle Barallo. Ever since like kind of right before the Drickus Hamzat fight, he like just started making Twitter posts. He's like, "I just got word from DDP's camp. He's injured." and everybody believed it for a little bit. He's like, "I heard Hamzat's pulling out. I'm ready to step in, UFC." Yeah, neither of them fucking pulled out. The fight happened and it was dog shit, but it happened. That shit just pissed me off. Like, dude, you're like, Fighting Nerd's aura's gone. He looks like a mongoloid. Like, I don't know why. Like, he's like Raul Rosas, like maxing. Like his face, the bone structure, they're just like, oh, I don't know. I don't like the look of them. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean. I don't have anything against Hispanics. It's just the facial shape of Raul Rosas in particular and Kyle Barallo in particular. It's like it's like the Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents. Just ugly, ugly. You know, I want to go Rainier de Ritter, but I'm not going to. Him saying he's going to get knocked out by Izzy is really a bad look. Like I would honestly comfortably pick Rainier to beat Izzy. So that's why I'm like, why the fuck would you say you'd lose to him? I think Kyle's a good striker. I think he's better than Brendan Allen and de Ritter. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I think Kyle Barallo does all the same things that Brendan Allen does, good as well, and even better in most cases. He had a grappling match against Brendan Allen and he beat him on short notice for Baralho too. Brendan Allen was supposed to face somebody else. I think Fluffy. I think he was supposed to rematch Fluffy in grappling, and Fluffy didn't take it. Baralho did, smoked Brendan Allen. Uh, Brendan Allen, I think, sucks. I hate him too. But Baralho, I think, is honestly good on the feet. He's a good grappler. Uh, there's always like that awkward factor for DeRitter, like knees to the body and just being awkward and finding a way to win. And to some degree, I could see him doing that. But I mean, man, yeah, it doesn't sound like his head's in the best spot. Like it sounded like he damn near contracted AIDS during the fucking Brendan Allen fight. I bet Brendan Allen gave him it, to be honest. That fucking queer. But I'm gonna have to go. Brendan Allen is just straight up worse than Baralho. Baralho's better. I'm gonna think Baralho over 3 rounds. I don't think it'll be a finish, but I think he's a better striker and grappler than Brendan Allen. So I'm gonna have to just go Baralho based off that. I think he's gonna be able to mitigate time in the clinch, getting kneed by Baralho. I think he's gonna have the better boxing. On the ground, I honestly think DeRitter is better, so I don't think they should go there. But DeRitter is going to be better for how long? Is it really just like an overworking and you cut weight too many times in a year and the activity did you in, or is it Rainier to quitter? You know, we're going to have to see. All 3 of his losses are quitting. I do have to say that both Anatoly Malikin losses, if there was 2, I think there was. He both quit on the stool pretty much and just kind of gave up while getting punched, and he gave up on this duel against Brendan Allen and right before the 5th round when you literally just had to go out there and lay on the ground and lose a decision. You know, at that point, you're going to lose anyway. You decided to not go into a 5th round against Brendan Allen or a down or has never been lower. Kyle Barallo, I'm going to say 29-28. Brendan, maybe or 30-27. I could see DeRitter being weird, but I think Kyle Barallo wins a decision, mostly striking.
Main event of the evening in the middleweight division. RDR 21-3, Kyle Bahio, I think he's like 17-2. Both these guys coming off main event losses in a crowded event, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, both of them were. Yeah. Brendan Allen and RDR was in Canada, and Amavov and Kyle was in France. So, both these guys lost, and they're like different losses. I think RDR dominated the first round and then proceeded to quit. Whereas Bahayo, he looked like he was 2 steps behind in the striking, but didn't really get to get the grappling going. Context that needs to be put into perspective going into that fight, though. He was the backup in the weigh-ins for Chimaev and Duplessis, which was like 319, and then I don't know how far off that time was from that France fight night, but I want to say it was relatively short amount of time. So he essentially kind of made 2 weight cuts going into that fight with Amavov. So I do think that does kind of play into a factor of like why Kaio looked flat that night too. I don't want to excuse his loss against Amavov. Amavov fought a good fight, but Kaio did look a footstep off. He looked flat. So maybe the two weigh-ins on short amount of time could have played a factor there. RDR's got health concerns. Like, he said he didn't feel good like 2 months after the fight. That's concerning. RDR was my favorite and 1FC like athlete, really. And I don't honestly hate his sentiment of saying that all of his career losses are by retirement, by quitting essentially. I don't hate that narrative at all. Having watched his fights, I think he is really skilled on the ground. He's big. He's 6'4". He's got reach. He's got long legs. He's got the nice knee in the body. He's not a bad fighter. But I think Kaio's style kind of has like answers for his style. The Whitaker fight was close. Even though he was doing really well, RDR, he was kind of bullying Robert because of the physicality. I don't think he's gonna be able to do that as easily against Kaio. Kaio has been like taken down before by lesser wrestlers than RDR, like Makhmudmuradov, but I think he's improved since then. He's a Damian Maya guy. He's got good jiu-jitsu. I think RDR could win the first round, but I don't know what he looks like after that. I think he is legit. I think RDR does have skills, but he is a bit of a front runner. When the going gets tough, he hasn't answered really well to adversity as of late. Um, I like RDR. I am tempted to pick him because I do think he can win that first round on the ground in the clinch. I think that first round is going to be his best round to set the tone of the fight. I think Kaio, you know, I will say Kaio's output. I think he has really good skills. Kaio's output isn't great. You know, he doesn't really like overwhelm his opponents with volume. He doesn't really separate at great margins. It's tough. But I think RDR can win the first round. I don't know what he's going to look like in rounds 2 and 3. I think Kaio needs to up the tempo of this fight. I think he needs to not be like Whitaker, where he's getting backed up against the fence where he can use his clinch. I think he needs to be at range, landing kicks, landing his jab. Kaio has a good jab. I think he needs to really intercept the tie collar, intercept the clinch exchanges with the straight punches. He really needs to emphasize that in this fight because if he doesn't, his output isn't great, and Kaio goes to decision a lot. RDR style isn't bad in the decision scenario, especially in a 3-round fight. If this was a 5-rounder, Kaio all day. This being a 3-rounder does give RDR a chance. I will say that. It's a close fight. I don't hate a late finish for Kaio, but I think I will go, and I want to kind of go RDR. I just don't know what he's going to look like after round 1. He did come in good shape at the weigh-ins yesterday. Do I risk it? The thing is, if he fought Hernandez, like at least he'd have like the knees to the body. Hernandez's body isn't good. Kaio hasn't really been finished as much as Hernandez has. 15-minute fight. And this is tough, but I'll go. I'm gonna reach. I'm gonna go RDR by split decision in a fight where he should lose. I think Kaio's gonna land the more effective shots, but he wouldn't have been able to get DeRitter off of him in the clinch. I think Kaio could definitely knock him out in a third like round as the fight progresses. If this was a 5-round fight, no brainer Kaio, but RDR he gets one chance. He gets I shouldn't even be giving him this chance because he straight up quit in the Brendan Allen fight, and all of his losses are by quitting. I think he's gonna win like an ugly split decision where Kaio you feel like didn't do enough to separate, and he's gonna let DeRitter, even though he's hurt, kind of just ride on him in the fence. Kyle should win, but he's going to get robbed. I'm going to go split decision to Ritter. Kyle should win, though. Honestly.
That's fucking stupid.
It is stupid. It's fucking stupid as fuck. But yeah.
I like you could have sold me and said like he wins the fight probably by decision, but split? Nah. Anyways, moving on. We got the main event of the evening. The BMF title is on the line here. Ooh. The BMF belt. Ooh. The greatest belt in the world. Ooh. No, I'm joking. But we got Max Holloway taking on Charles Oliveira in the rematch. It's a pretty good main event. If y'all know me, y'all know my dislike towards that BMF belt, but I guess I'm in a good mood today, so we'll enjoy the BMF belt here. I got Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway is gonna win this fight. Charles could do good if he grapples. It will be a very good fight. It does get dangerous if it hits the ground, but the thing with this freaking belt, man, is just I have a feeling that people are just like the BMF belt turns people retarded. Like that's my whole thing about the BMF belt. Like it's the dumbest it's the dumbest fucking belt in history, in my opinion. Like it makes people look stupid. Like, oh, a bad motherfucker's got to strike. Let me go strike with this motherfucker. Let me strike with Max Holloway. I think Charles Oliveira is just gonna go full retard, full simple Jack. If you know, you know type of moment. And don't get me wrong, these two are bad motherfuckers. I like that they're fighting, and this is a good main event. But I just think Max is gonna school him, and I think Charles is gonna go off his game, is gonna abandon the game plan of grappling. I think he's gonna strike with Holloway, and I think Holloway's just gonna school him. I think it's gonna be a 49-46 decision for Max. I know people are picking him to finish Charles. I don't mind that take, but if you can't finish an old man Dustin Poirier while you have him hurt and wobbled and you dropped him concussively a couple times and you can't finish him still, I think I think you're gonna have a trouble. I think you're gonna have a tough time finishing Charles. And I know people think Charles is a quitter still and stuff like that. The first fight is an example of it. Yeah, he had a weird stoppage fight, but I don't know, man. I'm still not torn on think. I still don't think Max is an elite finisher still, but I think he has looked pretty good in this new weight class. He's looking a little faster. He's still got the speed, and he's gotten more. He looks more ripped, and he's been looking pretty legit. I will say that, but we'll have to see how this fight goes. I think this is the fight that shows me that he's really like that in this fight. Right now, this is kind of a show me fight. Let's see how he does. I'm still picking Max to win this fight, but this fight will show me like if this fight will show me if he's really like that. And I think this is my prediction to win fight of the night too. I think this will be a war for sure, and we'll see how it goes. BMFs going at it. I got my BMF jersey, Ray Lewis, a true BMF in this, so we'll see how it goes. And may the best man win. I like both, so I will be upset on. Well, I won't really care less on who loses, but this will be a good fight. I got Max Holloway, 49-46 decision. I could see a finish, but I don't think so.
This is a good fight, a good main event. Of course, it's got to be for the BMF title, but I mean, if this is what we got to do to get a good fight on a main event, I'll take it, despite the belt meaning nothing. This is a tough fight. It's a good fight, a rematch out of a fight that was really not a fight. Uh, it's a good one. I honestly am going to be picking Charles Oliveira, though. I think Charles Oliveira is going to win this fight. I will tell you why. I think Max Holloway is good, but I think his performance against an old shit Dustin Poirier was not great. Getting dropped by that makes me think Oliveira is able to drop you as well. And Oliveira dropping people just makes me think of, prime Oliveira against the strikers he was fighting at that era. Dustin, Gaethje. Now, despite me thinking Max is better than both of them right now, that was a kind of style of fight where two fighters had damaging moments against Oliveira because of their power. I think Max doesn't have the same power as Dustin. He doesn't have the same power as Gaethje. I think if he hits Mac or if he hits Oliveira, Oliveira is going to be able to take it more than Gaethje and Poirier's power. I think Oliveira will have success on the feet with Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway, his new style is outside at range. He doesn't really push the pressure. He doesn't push the volume anymore. I feel like Oliveira to some degree still does. Even in his most recent fight, he picked up Gamrot, who's a good wrestler, like a fucking baby, slammed him down, took his back, and rear naked choked him. Gamrot's somebody who out-wrestled Arman Sarukian in their fight. Arman had arguably won that fight, but that was based on the striking. Gamrot is not somebody you just ragdoll like a little bitch. That is not something that happens. And Oliveira did that. And I think, only a couple people are able to do that to Gamrot. I think maybe Armin in a rematch, Oliveira, as we saw, Islam and Ilya. And I think that's an elite group of grapplers, and I don't think anybody else matches up to him. Uh, I think Volk for facing for Max Holloway's sake is a great grappler, but he really doesn't have great control time against anybody other than Ortega. Be real. Max Holloway's able to pop up right from all those takedowns. He's got great grappling ability, great survivability. I'm not trying to shit on Volk, but he doesn't just sit on people and mount for an entire round, unless you're Ortega, who kind of wants that for some reason because he thinks there's a fluke at a submission. Oliveira popping out with the yellow trunks this time too. I think this is a prime Oliveira style fight. I think he's gonna engage in the striking to some degree, and I think he's gonna be able to lose the striking, but I think he's gonna hurt Max in a moment. I think he's gonna get to the grappling. I think he is gonna shoot. I think in every fight of Oliveira's career, he's more or less tried to grapple. I know this is a BMF title fight, and if he doesn't grapple whatsoever and strikes the whole time, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. But I honestly am going to trust Oliveira to mix in the grappling at least to some degree. He's done it in every fight. He's a grappler by trade. And you know what? People like it when he grapples because he does it in a great way. I don't think being a BMF means you just can't grapple. I think you got to grapple a certain way. Oliveira grapples that certain way. He's there to fuck you up and finish you. And I think that's not going to discourage his wrestling. And I think, as much as people are making it a red flag that Oliveira's training to stand and bang with Oliveira at the point in the ground, Oliveira's training or Max Holloway's training with his coaches to fucking shoot on Oliveira. And when nobody's talking about that, like that's a bad idea. Maybe it's just less known because, Oliveira's scrapping out in the pocket with Max Holloway seems pretty retarded on paper, but honestly, Shootbox, that's nothing new to them. I shit on Shootbox for that all the time because they give their fighters CTE. But that type of hectic brawl isn't something Oliveira's never seen before. Honestly, in the lightweight division, for that point down at the ground, he's probably one of the most attuned ready for that because he does that in the gym all the time. So I'm not really worried about this point to the ground, point to the ground. I think Oliveira's grappling is the X factor here. Max Holloway has never fought anybody as dangerous as Oliveira with the control on the ground. Volk had great takedowns, but he didn't have the control in the submission. Ortega had great submissions, but he had no control or takedowns. Oliveira has all three. After the Islam fight, he made it a point to work on his wrestling. He's been able to hold guys down, work a wrestling clinic on Michael Chandler for 5 rounds. And despite it being Michael Chandler, that is a pretty good wrestler. Nobody's really able to do that to him. I think Oliveira's wrestling's improved. I think he's going to be able to honestly be the bigger, more dominant, physically stronger guy. And I mean, you asked Justin Gaethje who's the hardest person that ever hit him. He would say Oliveira. He said it felt like a lightning bolt struck him. So I think people are sleeping on Oliveira's power, and I think people are still overestimating Max Holloway's chin. I don't think it's as good as it once was. I do certainly think it's good, but he's not. I mean, he's getting dropped in every fight now so far since Ilya. Ilya dropped him, Gaethje dropped him, and Dustin dropped him. That's 3 in a row. Uh, I have to follow the trend and say Oliveira drops him at some point too. And I think if Oliveira drops him, he's going to jump right on him, take the back, and choke Max Holloway to sleep. I'm not looking at fucking Dustin Poirier jump a guillotine on this man. I'm watching fucking Charles Oliveira take his back and scale him and submit him. I think that's what happens. Oliveira is a different level of threat when it comes to the ground, and he can actually get it to the ground and keep it there, unlike Ortega. And I think he's better than Ortega. So I'm going to say Charles Oliveira, great fight through 2 rounds. He gets hurt multiple times, but he's able to hurt Max. And once he does, he gets on top. Rear naked choke. I'm going to say end of the 2nd round, rear naked choke. Oliveira wins. BMF champion. And then he fights Connor in International Fight Week.
Main event of the evening for the BMF title. This is a banger. This is a rematch. Former champions in their respective divisions. Now Max Holloway has found a home at lightweight. It's a good fight. I think in the history of the BMF title fights, it was like Masvidal Diaz, it was like Poirier Gaethje, Holloway, and Gaethje. Predominantly striker versus striker matchups. I feel like this is like a potential intro to Alex's statement that you don't have to just be a striker to be a BMF. I think Charles Oliveira has one of the more entertaining brands of grappling in MMA altogether. His style is is more finishing predicated than control, and he can still get control, but he chooses to go for the finish more often than not. I think that's like the opportunity. If Charles is to win, he's able to make grappling look BMF, look cool. Holloway, though, I do think he is better on the feet, but I also do agree to the sentiment that like the X factor in this fight really is Charles's grappling. This fight really comes down to what is the mentality and the mindset of Charles. Is he going to strike or is he going to mix in the grappling? Predominantly through his career, he's mixed in the grappling. Um, but he does strike, and he has good Muay Thai. He has good kicks, good elbows. He's got I want to say like a 5-inch reach advantage in this one. He's got a really good straight punch with his with a straight right. He's got a good left hook. Like he has very powerful, devastating shots. His grappling is levels ahead of Max Holloway though, and this is a guy in Max Holloway who got subbed by Poirier. Now it was a long time ago. He also got taken down by McGregor. I do think the grappling is the biggest X factor in the fight. But I also do think that the difference in durability, Holloway did get knocked out. I do feel that his chin isn't as what it once was, but he still is I would say, like pretty handedly durable compared to Oliveira. I would reckon to say his chin still could take more resistance than him. He did get dropped in his last 3 fights. These are against powerful guys though: Poirier, Gaethje, and uh, Ilya, essentially. Oliveira, he's a tough guy though, and he's also been hit by powerful guys. I think Holloway does hit harder at 155, but he's only getting really dropped by like Chandler, Gaethje, Poirier. Like these are also hard hitters. I think Oliveira, like if he fights the way he fought Tony Ferguson, like that would be like the perfect like game plan against Holloway. I feel like he kind of can do that, low key, kind of do. But I do think Holloway's takedown defense is better than even that Ferguson's. But still, like that would be the mindset. If you told me Oliveira is going to actively grapple, he can win this fight because there is levels on the ground between the two of them. But if they're going to swing and they're going to fight for the BMF like how I think they might, then Holloway, he's more durable, he's faster, he's a more technical striker. This is a tough fight just because I don't know what we're going to get from Charles. I think the longer the fight goes, it favors Max. Even if he's down rounds with Charles with sub attempts and grappling exchanges or knockdowns, I feel like even though Charles is a prolific finisher, Max is a tough guy to get out. The only way I kind of see Charles winning is kind of by submission. I don't think he can win a 25-minute bout against Holloway unless he dominates him with the grappling. I don't think he's going to knock out Holloway. He has only been knocked out one time. He is getting dropped, so it could happen, but if you told me Charles won, my first guess would be he subbed him. That's how I think he would have won the fight. This is a tough one, but I'm gonna go with. I think Charles is really not a bad pick. I really don't think it's a bad pick because there's a legit path he has. I just don't know if he's going to take it. I don't mind a Charles pick though, man. Styles make fights. Who has Holloway fought that's a grappler though? He hasn't really fought anybody on a high level grappling. The takedown definitely the jiu-jitsu.
I agree, but I think Charles is gonna do something stupid and just strike with Max.
This is gonna be tough, but man, I'm
How
gonna
did
go
he?
Max Holloway. I'm gonna go fourth round late TKO. I think Oliveira is gonna try to grapple, and I think he will have opportunities, but those opportunities would have come after he engaged in striking with Max Holloway. I think he will get dropped. Not like as bad as like past fights. Holloway will let him get back up, but like his power still isn't enough to put Charles away. This fight still gets extended, but as the rounds go on, like Charles is still trying to get takedowns, but he's not getting them. Holloway's able to chuck him off more easier, and I think it's going to culminate to a fourth round TKO with Max Holloway, where he would have went through some scary submission attempts, and they look like they're in, but they're when Charles is like past the first round when he's not fresh, and if he was like maybe around for, like if he was more early in the fight, he would have gotten these subs. But Holloway will have just slipped away. But I do not hate a Charles Oliveira pick. I think the grappling is very much unquestioned by Holloway. This fight really just comes down to what is Charles going to do. I don't hate the pick, but I'm going to go Holloway fourth round TKO. I just think he's going to get out of the submission attempts. He's going to weather the storm, and it's going to lead to a late finish. In a banger, though. It's going to be a good fight.
All right, and that will do it for our predictions for the BMF card, UFC 326. Yeah. But yeah, fight of the night, I think Max Holloway Oliveira is a good likely candidate. I think
Yeah,
Dober Johnson and Rodriguez Fajea are good runner ups as well.
for sure.
Performances of the night, just the knockouts. I think there'll be another one on the main card. If Dober gets a knockout or if RoboCop or Ferreira get one, I think they'll get one. Yeah, just knockouts. I don't think submissions will really be gifted and outside of Oliveira if he gets one. Or maybe if Raul gets a fucking submission, they'll give him 50 or 100K because he's Raul. But yeah. You guys got any picks for fight of the night or performance of the night?
I think we're all in agreement of a fight in the night being the main event. Uh,
Yeah,
Performance of the night, if Kaio just brutally starches or finishes Rainier, they could do that. Um,
Ante Johnson, maybe.
Dante John, yeah, that one I could see. Uh, I could see Raul if he finishes Rob Font for sure, just because it's Raul, like you said. But honestly, if he does finish Rob Font, compared to like other people that couldn't finish him, I think that's bonus worthy for sure. But we'll have to see on that one. But regardless, I got Holloway. Uh, Honestly, low key, I think Bruno versus RoboCop could be a
performance.
fight of the night candidate too. Like
Yeah.
on or either or finish bonus should go to them either way.
Yeah, I agree. I think all those got a good chance. Luke Fernandez is probably going to get a KO too. But yeah. If Cody Garbrandt gets a KO, he should get 100K.
I think so too. I wait, what's the whole finish? Like I thought, like if everybody gets a finish, they all get the bonuses. It
They
just
get
goes to the person.
a bonus. I think it's like there's a finish bonus now that's like 25K. Like if you get a finish, you just get 25K. But that's like in addition to your performance bonus, I think. So
Uh,
you get like 125K.
I thought they give it to anybody that gets finishes. I thought that's that whole thing, but
No, the performance bonuses are still a thing. Just like the finish bonuses, they don't like keep track of them. It's just like if you get a finish as a fighter, you get an extra 25.
okay. No, I know. I got confused. I thought like once they announced it, I thought it was like how they do like you fight, you get your percentage, but if you win, you get a win bonus. I thought it was like something like that, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They definitely up the bonuses, and I feel like the fighters have been trying to perform to that level. So I feel like we're in treat for some finishes over the next couple of years of the Paramount deal
Yeah, I'm
on this
pumped.
card too.
All right, Tony, you got
Yeah.
any last thoughts?
No, I think you guys. I agree with most of the sentiments of the fight of the night and all those things. I think. Yeah, we're in for a BMF title fight. Can't wait.
All right.
Go. All right. We'll see you later, everybody. Peace.